bonus episodes of Let's Talk About It here with Tobias Ottley. You are an executive manager of SporTT right now,
Yeah, I'm the executive manager for the Elite Development and Performance Unit.
right? You're also a fitness trainer. You have your own company.
Yes.
The name of that is
The Body Architect.
Body Architect.
I
Nice,
train there
nice.
every morning. Big up, Toby.
Nice, nice. And you're also the physical trainer for the under 23 men's volleyball team currently.
I actually, since there's been a change in administration, all the staff have had to reapply for their jobs. I have not actually reapplied, so it's in limbo at the moment. I'm told the former coach that I'm available if he needs, so we'll see how that goes.
All right, but before we move on, just for anybody that watching this, I want them to get a better idea of who you are. Now you have your bachelor's, I think. You also have your master's. Well, you have two bachelors.
No, I started one bachelor's in
Okay.
environmental management, which was not really my thing, but is what was available in Trinidad to me at the time. And then upon receiving a government scholarship, then I was able to actually go and pursue what I wanted to pursue, which was my undergrad in sports science with a minor in psychology. And then I took that and went on to do my master's in applied sports science with a focus on physiology.
So psychology, that is the study of what chemical reactions and how they
So
affect
it was
you?
a pure psychology degree. It was not, a pure psychology minor. It was not like sport or anything. So it was an introduction to psychology, if you want to call it that. So obviously the mind and concepts of the mind, obviously not in a clinical sense, just in a comprehension perspective.
Do you apply that do you apply that knowledge still in everyday life and in how you train people and whatnot?
I would say that the fitness, sport, those industries, you cannot exist in those industries without using some form of psychology, especially if you are on the side of it where you need to motivate and encourage players, athletes, persons
Right.
to put out more. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is improve performance, whether it is, your everyday Joe Blogs who's coming to the gym and is trying to go from 1 rep at 100 pounds to being able to do 10 reps. There's still a certain amount of psychology involved there. It's really no different between that and working with the volleyballers or when I used to work with the footballers, because you're still trying to get them to put out.
So which football group you worked with? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I worked under Coach Hart.
That was 2015, 2016.
That
around
sort of
there.
time, so Gold Cup and so on, and the beginning of the World Cup qualifying campaign.
Right.
That was, for me, that was what I would call the ideal working relationship with a coach. Somebody who is very much about the various professionals being the command of their space, but then meeting together and understanding everybody else's space and trying to work together for one common goal. He was very, his communication was on point. I always knew what he expected of me, and in return, he always understood what I needed to get my role done. That bunch of guys really, great bunch of players. I enjoyed every second right down to the end. I have no malice going away from football. It's, coming out of it, I've actually, gained some friendships that I perceive to be long lasting.
Nice.
So tell us, what are some of the athletes that people might know well that you work with? I know we train every morning. I see Kenwin Jones pull up. I see that you all are good friends. Tell us about some of the athletes you work with, about some of the work you've done and the performance enhancement, improvement you've seen, working with them.
All right. Working with athletes could start all the way back with Andrew Lewis when he went to his first Olympics in 2012. At that point in time, I also worked with Mary Boys Cricket Club.
Right.
Like some Alan Richards, Randall Simmons, Ronaldo, Sammy, a few other players. And then along the way, volleyball, I worked with Sean Morrison. Sean and I worked very much on extending his playing career. At the time, he was very much into the beach and sort of in and out of indoor, but beach was like his passion. And then through my working relationship with Sean, when he coached the two young ladies to be the first team to qualify for an Olympics into the Youth Olympics in China. I also worked with his athletes. Ironically, fast forward from then to now, been working with Sean again. He actually just started back playing enough to play in a tournament Easter weekend.
Right.
He could not, he was really ecstatic in terms of being able to get back jumping and feeling like he felt in his prime.
Right.
Then obviously the football would have the more popular athletes, Kenwin Jones, all the players of that time, Michael Williams, etc. In a national team setup, your role is really to keep the players fit.
Right. Not just fit, but keep them from injury, and if they have any injury,
definitely that's more your role at that point in time. We did not have that many. We actually didn't have soft tissue injuries in that period. We had impact injuries, which is kind of unavoidable in a contact sport.
True.
But the soft tissue injuries were actually at a minimum during that time, and that was one of the things. That's like one of the key responsibilities, because you're not seeing the players long enough.
Yeah.
We had one period prior to Gold Cup in 2015 where we actually had extended training with them. But it's not a situation where you could take the credit for how fit the athletes were. Just kept them in their prime.
Yeah, because I'm sure they will have a lot to do.
Right. So then the clubs, etc. You're not seeing them all the time. A couple athletes would, local-based athletes, you get a little bit more contact time with. And those are the ones that you could really lay down a long-term program and help them out. There's always, for me, it's always about the coach. Right. The coach first. The coach will tell you what he needs. So I actually met with Stephen quite a few times before we agreed to work together, because I needed to know that I had a coach who would give me the space to be the professional that I am, and he needed to be able to trust his players with me. So we spoke about things like tactics and what he would need in a game. So if you have a team that's playing a possession game, obviously you're trying to program their fitness, their match fitness around that. If you're going to play a very defensive game where you're chasing the ball, that's a whole other scenario. If you want to attack fast down the wings, those are the discussions that you need to have with coaches.
Right.
It's not, I mean, it's a cliche term, but I use it all the time. It's not a cookie cutter, and it's the same for fitness for the everyday person. So I may have an idea of my type of training. I may have an idea when somebody comes in, okay, this is what I want to do with them. And then as you start to work, you realize, okay, these are the adjustments that need to be made based on where they are at that point in time.
Right. Okay. So you have a lot of responsibility in kind of memorizing at what point everybody is. Do you have a way of database in it, or is it all in your head and you just know?
It's a bit of both. It's a bit of both. If I'm honest, I need to database a lot more.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm working on gradually. But generally, where you interact with people more regularly, those are the things that you remember more easily.
So what kind of how is our local football side looking right now? You still keep in touch with them and see how they're doing performance-wise?
Well, I was always a fan first before I was a staff member. I've followed football, from prior to Strike Squad to now.
Yeah.
So I always follow the team. I keep track of the players as best as possible wherever they are in the world. Players go Costa Rica, South America, as far east as Vietnam. We have a contingent of players right now in Iceland.
Okay.
Hansi Marshall, Sean, and one of the guys I'm working with at the moment, Akim, he's now about to go out as well. So, we have players all over, so it's not the easiest. We have a athlete down in Israel as well. So, I mean, I follow them. I keep track of the team. I think, there's a huge focus around trying to have a system. The coach that they have at the moment is very much about, having the right team. The right team is not necessarily always, your best 11 players, but it's the best 11 that play together.
That play the best together. Now, one thing I always wondered, right? obviously all of us play football, by the small fields close to us, and you always seeing some people that just unbelievably good. You have no idea why they're not on a national side, why they're not on a bigger side. So I have a couple questions, right? A couple things that I don't understand. One is, you see those guys that can do all the beats and thing, they're in the and one videos. Like, what makes them not good enough to be a player? And then the guys that definitely good enough to be a player um, and to make it onto a good side, like make it onto the national team or make it onto teams away. What is keeping them back? Because I just find I see a lot more
Where's the
talent.
disconnect? Where's the disconnect between talent and
because we see so
the
much more
transfer
talent
into
than what we see
professionalism and
outside.
monetizing it and whatnot?
I think any sport is not just football. Any sport, there's a cross section of factors that have to interact to get you to that point. There's a certain amount of luck. There's a huge amount of discipline. And then there's a system. Some of these people, I know Coach Hart always used to refer to a particular player who literally just said, I have no desire to play on a national team. I am happy playing minor league football because I like to smoke and drink.
Right.
And that's him.
Right.
We all as humans aren't motivated the same way.
All right.
Right. So there's some people who just naturally that's not their thing. They're quite happy to exist on a small field. That could be a psychological thing because on a small field, they are the king. They are the big noise.
Yeah.
And then when you
big
spread
fish in a
out,
small pond.
there you go. Some of it is system.
So
whether or not you didn't go to whether or not you didn't go to a school that was in the league, it's a combination of factors. Ironically enough, when I actually applied for my scholarship to go off and do my undergrad, one of the things that I told the interviewing panel is where I grew up in Maracas Valley, I thought I saw an abundance of sporting talent that did not translate. I played football with guys who
just
I
unbelievably
thought
good.
would have been on national teams who I would have been watching on TV one day. And, I was always into sport. I played hockey, I played football. And I always figured, okay, so if you can't be on the field, then how can you help those that are on the field? And that's kind of what drove me to, my study and passion and so on. So I will always want to work with athletes, whether it be, right now I just seem to have quite a few swimmers, a couple triathletes. It's not necessarily just football and volleyball alone. I still have a passion for cricket. I love the athleticism of T20 cricket. So those are things that spark my own passion and my own interest and actually trigger my professional curiosity and how can I actually, tailor systems to help those people.
Yeah, so what would be the best system or the best route to follow? Let's say your child, they're 12, 13 years old. Yeah, we could use football as an example because I think that's the most popular sport down here. Cricket being a lot better established now, but we could stick to football for now. What would be the best route for like a 12 or 13-year-old to follow to try to make it onto a national side or to try to make it onto an international club football team?
So the first thing that I would say to any parent that came to me with that is one, don't specialize. All the best athletes in the world can play more than one sport. Right? So specialization, one, limits your options. Two, it takes away the opportunity for your student athlete to develop, for a young person to develop. So, any amount of examples. Usain Bolt was a fast bowler in cricket. Brian Lara played football at a national level in the junior team. So did Ato Bolan. And the list goes on, top athletes in track and field who could not only run, but they can jump, etc. So what you want first and foremost is an athlete, right? Not
on
a
the
sports
physical.
person.
More
So
than
you
anything.
start building the right attributes from early. So I have a 4-year-old son, and people ask me, what am I going to put him in?
Right.
I tell him the first few things that are priorities to me: swimming, track, and gymnastics. And he's like, swimming, track, and gymnastics? Gymnastics is actually the first weightlifting, bodybuilding that you'd be exposed to. Right? People always come to me, oh, children shouldn't lift weights. when you run and jump and land, the amount of force that's going through that body, you might as well put that person to squat under a bar.
Right.
Right? It's little things like that we don't think about. When they're doing the parallel bars, they're working their way into pull-ups and stuff already.
Is that why they're kind of so short?
Actually,
Gymnasts, I find gymnasts usually have a kind of short.
so the
they have a
actual
kind of
thing
tight
with,
structure.
with gymnasts and weightlifters is that they actually probably reach their physical potential faster.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
Because they're stimulating the body, the bones, etc.
Right.
What you would find is a lot of them height is advantageous to their sport.
Right.
So somebody who may have a growth sport may fall out of the sport. It's not that the sport kept them short.
Oh, right. Okay. It's kind of like what is the most efficient body type for these sports?
Correct. So like with Olympic weightlifting that you see on TV, people think it's about getting the bar above your head. It's actually getting yourself under the bar. So if you're short enough, you get under that bar quicker. The bar doesn't have to travel as far.
Right.
Basically, you can whip yourself under the bar. So the shorter people are going to be
more advantage.
Right, so they're going to have more advantage in that sport.
Yeah.
I think John probably have some of the best advice on some of the things not to do if you want to get into international football. Because John, you ever saw John play? He was probably still is pretty damn talented.
Yeah, good. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, but
cool.
some of the stories John told me, I know you made some good decisions. I know you probably made some of your questioning. Or
with what?
I don't know about questioning the decisions, but I know you got into some questionable situations.
Well, all the time, that's how it is, trying to advise.
Yeah.
But what I mean, for people who are talented in the sport, who are passionate, and me personally, I look at it as sometimes it's two things. They either don't have that discipline really and truly the discipline. I believe like if they were inspired, right? If they had some form of external motivation for them to be disciplined, because we have a social situation where you have a lot of kids who don't have fathers or who don't even have father figures. So a lot of key lessons that yourself and people who are older than the generations coming up might have had from learning from their father, simple common sense concepts, like discipline. Like it takes something. Nowadays you're going to see there's a problem. You have young people taking forever to become disciplined, myself included. I fighting with discipline every morning. That's why I come. I damn happy to come and train every morning because you giving me a reason to actually wake up early and do this. So my thing is like, what kind of initiative you think that we could put in place for us to inspire the youth that have the talent to take that extra mile, take that extra step to become an athlete?
I want to be a little bit controversial here and say that we need to find external sources of motivation that actually light the intrinsic motivation. Because what you find is that without that internal motivation, that flame dies quickly.
Yeah.
Right? I have a particular athlete in mind whose parents throw a lot of external motivation at them. Oh, you want the newest iPhone. If you do well in the next event, you'll get that.
So how could you give them this internal motivation?
I think that's the skill of a good coach, a good mentor.
Yeah.
As one of my clients told me the other day, sometimes you need to go through a life event. Sickness and sadness are some of the biggest reality checks that people go through.
Yeah.
Some people need to hit rock bottom before they realize, okay, this is not where I want to be.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many stories. I think, administrator, I believe it was the president of the Olympic Committee, said recently that the youth in Trinidad and Tobago have too many options. Right? So there's not enough to drive them into sport. So track and field is a way out of or a way to a better life in Jamaica.
Right.
It's a way to a better life. Football is a way to a better life coming out of Brazil. You see all the documentaries and people coming out, the favelas, the ghetto, etc.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be the only motivation, because look at Germany. I mean, Germany has one of the best football sides, not last World Cup before. They had one of the best football sides, and that is not an escape out of anything. So they have to have some... Yes, but those players themselves would need to have some other form of internal motivation that isn't derived from trying to escape a form of suffering.
Now here my issue is you talk about internal motivation. I am a youth. I'm not even 30 yet, so I consider myself a youth, a young in this. And then you have the youth, you have the young ones, the teenagers, the kids. When you was a kid, when you were a teenager, and you see a pitch, even it could just be a little piece of grass, and it's nice and flat and clean, and boom, that inspires you to want to play. You understand? Or to want to train. Like a lot of people will go to UE to train over the years just because the pitch. We have in Trinidad, we barely to find a good pitch is nearly impossible. Like, so my thing is like we should invest more into the facilities, you know, and make it more accessible to the youths of all over the country. Yeah, we have facilities, but they need to be maintained properly. They need to be created properly.
I think they need to be secured properly because we have some nice parks down where we grew up, but it's not as popular as it used to be because people are just afraid they might get robbed if they play in those areas.
So I think if you did a study, we probably have the most amount of facilities per capita probably in the whole Western Hemisphere.
Right.
Right. You know, people always ask about, you know, access to facilities, etc.
They have
them. But we have a situation where you want facilities to be free, but you want facilities to be maintained.
Yeah.
So how do we maintain facilities? And, you know, in my humble, controversial opinion, you know, we as Trinidadians don't appreciate things that are free. Right? It's amazing how many things our taxes pay for in Trinidad. My taxes pay for that.
Yeah.
It's the road, it's the facilities, it's hospital, it's, you know, they expect taxes to cover everything. Right? And, you know, I mean, I've heard people say, well, what about all the money that's stolen? You know, what's this thing about money that's stolen? It's gone.
Exactly. Yeah. It's gone. We can't even talk about it.
We can't even talk about it, right? So how do we move forward? Even if we charge a nominal fee and we charge a contribution, you know, but do you think that facilities will actually solve some of that? If we maybe we'll get...
No, I actually think, you know, you're right, because you see certain facilities that would go up and then in no time they kind of...
Actually,
they just depreciate in value.
I think it's by Couva. We live close to there, and they have this beautiful swimming facility, and there's this children's like this sort of children's water park area. And when we went a couple months ago, I think it was sometime last year, it was just complete disrepair, and this is a facility that's just a few years old. But I think
because the water park was never actually open.
It wasn't. Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, there's some issues with that facility that I'm not really in a position to talk about, but I know that there was more to it than than allowing it to go into disrepair.
Okay. Because I was worried about that.
But that facility in itself is a perfect example of the opportunity to create revenue. But will people be willing to pay the revenue because it's a government facility? I should be able to just come and use the water park. I mean, you mentioned there, look at the amount of people that go and walk and so on in Atterbury Stadium, right? And then when the stadium was shut to walkers, there was a big uproar.
Right.
Because people feel that they're entitled to that. But
okay.
You know,
and I mean, they justified in a way because they might think, well, my taxpayer dollars pay for this. I should be allowed to use it without having to pay extra. Maybe something that could be looked at is promoting sports as promoting sports as a form of entertainment, you know, because away right down to college football monetized.
Everything.
You know, down here
how do you promote sport as entertainment when people don't believe that they should pay?
Yeah.
So
okay, that is.
I have an office
here
in the stadium, and I see people pulling on every gate to see if it's open, so that they could avoid paying the $20 to come and watch secondary schools football, or the $40 to come and watch Pro League. I don't find I should have to pay to watch Pro League for my partner on the side.
Yeah, your child on the side.
How we putting money in your partner's pocket?
So it's definitely a problem of the cultural mindset then.
Yeah, it needs a 360 review. So I'm not trying to take responsibility away from administrators.
Yeah.
But I think we as the public also need to realize, you know what?
We have a responsibility.
We have a responsibility as well to make this thing work.
Yeah.
Because I am sure Carnival is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Every year, for every couple of years, FET prices going up. And then those see people say, well, fine, me ain't going off it.
Exactly.
They will find the money. The banks enjoy it. They advertise the loans every year. And people go.
Well,
we don't want to pay a comparative international price
yeah,
to watch a football match.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to matches away. I've paid upward of £60 to watch, you know, British
well, I guess
football.
that point there is kind of where what Julie was saying was kind of true, in that when you look at Carnival and you ask that question, okay, demand and supply. If the demand, you know, and restricted supply, the price is going to go up. People not complaining because the demand is there. Why is the demand for Carnival there? Because it's a culture that's heavily marketed entertainment-wise. So what we're saying is, I think that in my opinion, that there needs to be a jump start now in Trinidad waking up that, you know, it's an audio-visual run world now, and the kids nowadays, the future consumers, the future trend setters, because once kids latch onto something and that trend catch, it start to multiply. Is being able, and I see that Sportsmax is doing it. I see that different media houses are really starting to like televise the league and stuff. But what you're saying is true. You know, they're bringing that vibe to the sport. They're bringing that energy to the sport. Trying to make it appealing for people to spend their money, and still people don't want to spend their money. You know, they still want this entitlement thing, this freeness thing. So it's really like a kind of weird dilemma. But the only thing I could say is for sponsorship, just to keep believing in something, because that's what an investment is believing in something that over time the culture is going to change, because you're going to have young athletes who are going to make it very global and then will be superstars themselves, but that's not going to happen, you know, in a snap, you know. So I just find it's a real tight dilemma that we're in. So like, I mean, what else do you think, like, what comment could you make about right now the sporting industry that we need?
Well, before just to expand on your point a bit. I think we could look at cricket, because I think 15, 20 years ago, cricket was pretty much not that much supported in Trinidad, right? It didn't have matches happening as frequently as they happen now. When the matches happen, they weren't as packed as they were, unless you had the one-day internationals, and the ODI matches still weren't as frequent as the T2020. But now you have more frequent matches. They marked it as a FET match. Is more entertainment, faster paced. They have much more patronage, people paying to watch the sport. You have much more cricketers actually making a profession out of cricket, instead of just the 4 or 5 Trinis that were on the West Indian side. So I just wondering if they have some potential for that in some of the other sports, like football and stuff.
Well, couple things, right? Test cricket requires you to at least take 3 days off of work.
Right.
Right? T20 doesn't. When they have CPL down here, right, you go right after work straight to Oval, you know, or Brian Lara Stadium, wherever it is. And in 4 hours, you're out. A football match is 90 minutes, plus 15 minutes half time. You know, so I think cricket benefited from the shortening of the game, right? People obviously saw the festive atmosphere of, you know, I guess the American sports, and incorporated the little cheerleaders. And yes, what I think cricket has really done, that, to take your point, that other sports tried or need to do, you see it in basketball as well, is the crowd engagement.
Right.
So there is a crowd engagement. I actually spoke to...
That's where you could actually make people want to spend their money, because people spending their money to come cricket. When people wasn't spending no money at all, so it's real good marketing.
I think, you know, I think because cricket comes across like an event, and Trinidadians suffer from what my friend calls FOMO. So fear of missing out.
Right, yeah.
So a good chunk of the crowd is actually there because they want to see they were there. They didn't want to... You see, because the thing about T20 cricket is, when somebody has an amazing innings like Andre Russell had when it was last week, you know, you want to be able to say you witnessed that. I was there when he hit all those sixes and they were so close to winning the match. You know, but you might go another game and it'll be, So I think crowd engagement is definitely one thing that we have to look at. you know, incentives. I think, and I said this week in a discussion, I think people need to get to know their athletes.
Right.
When you get to
Yes,
know your
yes.
athletes, you have a
Yeah.
personal attachment, right? A lot of our sports are club-based, right, rather than community or school-based, right? I will still have arguments with friends who went, you know, Fatima St. Anthony's presentation, whatever, because I spent 7 years in St. Mary's, so I have a attachment to that.
Yeah, personal
Yes,
attachment.
yes, yes.
Personal attachment.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, outside of Caledonia, who comes from that community, the point in time when Double Connection was the only South club, so all of South kind of identify with that. There's no real identity with a club, right? There's nothing that makes you, you know, people who grew up saying, I support Liverpool, I support this, they inherited that from a family member, or
Yeah,
you know, you
almost-
grew up in
almost
that
like a
time.
religion.
You know, you grew up in that time where you only got to see Liverpool or Man United games on before it had cable, when it was just on TTT or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people who started following Man U is because they could identify with it because of Dwight York, and they just stuck with it because that was a winning period.
Yeah.
So, you know, you jumped on board at a winning time, or, you know, you are a Ronaldo fan or a Zidane fan. So unless you could identify with something, it will wash away.
You know, certain things where you say, like you say, a Ronaldo fan, a Zidane fan, you know, you're saying that people need to get more in touch with the personalities in the sport. I think that that's a real crucial point to me there, because it shows, you know, based on what we're saying, that Instagram, social media, everything is audiovisual now, everything. The clubs, you know, if the clubs were to invest in, you know, being able to promote certain personalities within the club, because I mean, as a player, when you in the club, you have some, you play with some guys and they're hilarious, you know, or they're amazing, or you know, and to be able to capture this somehow and be able to produce this and promote these personalities, and again, I feel like Trinidad's in the dark ages. Instagram, you could capture personalities, promote it to the target market, where you have actual viewership of the age group that you want to engage, right? So you actually utilizing what's right in front of us to, you know, accomplish what we want to accomplish, which is get more engagement in the sport, you know.
But I think what is important though is getting the athletes to understand that that's our responsibility.
Okay.
Athletes have this concept. Thing is, once you become a public figure, the reality is whether or not, I mean, people debate it from now till it's not a thing anymore. They believe that the social media is theirs. They could do what they want, they could say what they want.
Right.
You put it out in a public space, that's that. It's now public. You become a personality. You want me to invest in you. You want me to pay my hard-earned money and come and sit down in the stands and watch you. Then I need to appreciate you for who you are.
Okay.
And if I think I don't see endearing or engaging things on your social media, then I'm not gonna take to you. So I think athletes also need to appreciate, you know, the role of a good PR person, a good manager.
Okay.
Right? And those people are going to help them to understand that they personally are a brand.
Yeah.
Right? You know, one of our early discussions, you mentioned that there's no real substance to the Kardashians.
Yeah.
Right? But, you know, because people have created this thing around them and people always want to know what nonsense they're going to do next.
Yeah.
You all of a sudden you find yourself plugged into that matrix.
And then they use that matrix to sell
Correct.
lipstick,
Right.
makeup, everything.
So
known,
now everything
easy.
there's a spin-off, right? You know, but when people start to see athletes as who they are, I mean, Cleopatra Borrell shared her story about her fibroid operation on IG, and you know, like you see all the people who are saying, "Oh my gosh, I am battling with this too. Thank you for sharing this story. Oh my gosh, even though you went through this thing, look how you're still training as an athlete. You work so hard." And you know, because whether it be relatable or inspiring, one way or another, people now have an interest. Cleo's in Brazil, bet your bottom dollar more people are gonna look out for her results, right? Because now there's that connection, there's that buy-in, right? Athletes who I've worked with, I already have a connection with them, so I would follow them wherever they are. You know, whether it's football in Kazakhstan or Vietnam, you know, one of the footballers. So he and I used to have a lot of banter when I first started working with the team. And for me, I got to learn that was just him testing me, seeing what I was made of, if I could really hang with these guys, whatever. And now we talk. And he was playing in Vietnam, and I found myself going online to look out for results in that league. In Indonesia, sorry. All right? And Indonesian league, I would not have cared about the Indonesian league if he wasn't playing there.
Right.
And watching his team go from near relegation, etc., and surviving that whole thing. That's what a connection with an athlete will do. And if they don't take the time to make themselves approachable, then they miss a huge opportunity for themselves and the sport.
I like how you talk about Cleopatra Borel and her story. I think that there are always infinite stories in sports. Very, very, very inspirational stories. And the thing is this is life happening continuously, consistently.
Correct.
And I believe that we need to get companies. Everything is about social responsibility and whatnot. I think companies should be socially responsible now in sponsoring that production or that capturing of that lifetime of these growths, whether it be in teams, whether it be through a reality series, whether it be through social media production or whatever. I think that we need to make that connect now, that investment, to be able to showcase his stories in sport as an intrinsic inspirator.
He said it best already, relatable and inspiring.
Relatable,
I think that's it for this podcast. We could shut it down.
I think
that was perfect.
But the thing is, we can't expect the companies to create it.
No, you're damn right. That's why we doing this right here. We have to see it in ourselves first. I mean, you can't just come to somebody and say, hey, I have a real best product to buy it from, and they ain't seen nothing yet.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so we have to be able to show that, hey, listen, this is real life. People have stories, like Rocky, for instance, right? Rocky's a diabetic. Nearly died representing his country because he couldn't afford, he couldn't have medication and he couldn't source it in time and had to travel from Germany to Spain. And came third in the world because he lost weight. He could eat 4 days.
And I heard
That's
about
the story.
this motherfucker last week.
Yeah?
I heard about him last week from you.
You see this motherfucker?
Imagine that. Imagine that shit. This guy represent our country on an international stage, come third. And I never heard about him.
Never heard. And he's the first person to get a double goal in the Pan Am. Right?
Hey,
okay.
we need to have him on something.
And then, so imagine all these stories that you bear witness to, right? Throughout your career. Imagine if you were able to produce that, or to imagine if a child was to see the stories that you saw lifetime. What do you think, the industry would be like,
I think
the culture?
I think it would create a greater appreciation for sure. So one of the athletes, I'll call her an athlete still, even though she does not play as much. She's more of a sweater now.
Right.
But one of the athletes who I have a lot of time for, and no matter when she drops me a message or whatever, I will always try and give her advice. I always remember the first day, one of the teams that I've worked with across my time was, I worked with under 17 women and under 20 women's football.
Right.
And the first day I showed up for training at UE, funny that you mentioned it, on the backfield. The coach said, come down, see the team play, we'll chat after, and we'll take it from there. At least you'll get an idea for who the girls are, how they could play. And that was a Saturday. The Tuesday you'll start with your first session. And this girl fainted early on in the game, right? A little bit before halftime. It could be just after, but in my memory, it's a little bit before halftime. All right, so run across, grab some Gatorade, whatever, try and cool her down, let the girls give her some space, etc., etc. She comes to, and I chat with her a little bit. I say, hey, what's going on? Did you eat this morning? She said, well, I had a cup of tea. I said, you're a national footballer. You have a practice match today. You all know that, these games right now are important because the coach is trying to cut the squad down to a proper training squad. Like, what you mean you just had a cup of tea? Said, well, I don't have a mom and dad. I'm staying by my grandmother. She left early for market this morning. She prepared some food. and I'm the smallest of my cousins,
Right.
and they ate everything already. So when I got up, all there was a cup of tea.
Shit.
You know, and that hit me hard. I was like,
Wow.
you know, so
And this girl still came out to play this practice match.
well, yeah, because she loves
Yeah,
football.
nothing could hold her back.
When you brought your ball the other day, she's a girl who picked up the ball and went to play with it, right?
Okay, right. Wow, that's itself.
Right? You know, eventually when I got to know a little better, understanding her story and how both her parents died from HIV, etc. And she's here battling that, and I'm just like, wow.
Wow.
Wait, so if you don't mind saying, how old is this girl now?
21.
21 to go through
And
all
you
this
say
already.
you say that she's sweating now. She's not really.
But she had given up on football for various reasons
I
in
mean,
terms
she's
of the national
21.
team,
That's she has.
but she's into the performing arts as well. She loves to
Okay.
play pan, that kind of thing. So
Okay,
that's what
okay.
she's at UTT doing.
Right.
You know, she's still getting offers to go and study to play football as well. You know, but it's financial, etc. But yes, there are lots of stories like hers out there that can, as gut wrenching as they are, can
Yeah.
also be inspiring and gateways.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've encouraged her to share her stories. I got her to go to a women's event to share her story with like women who are looking for inspiration from each other.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
so
Is that the plot? Was it a plot event?
no, this was
Plot. What is plot?
This was
Plot is the powerful ladies of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm a partner with Plot as an artist. They support different causes like the cause against domestic violence, and so I think that will be very interesting for her to connect to connect with that group. You know, it's a group of ladies of executives in business. You know, who own their own business or who are executives of corporations, and they're actually interested. It's a very amazing initiative by the women of this country, because they are interested in utilizing their powerful network of women to find ways to uplift, enhance, motivate, and even get younger women, and not just women, men, people into business. You know, so I think it's an amazing initiative, and it shows you that, you know, sometimes women has had to take front in terms of, you know, setting the tone as to what we should be doing, and I think that aspect of, you know, we have so many very wealthy people in this country, you know, powerful people that I think could come together and could start to, you know, if they had the passion for, start to invest in people like we are talking about. What's the name, if you want? Shadell, right? You know, people who
goddamn inspiration.
yeah, big inspiration. You know, that really and truly should never be given up on this sport. Like people, to me, if people have a dream and a passion and they believe in it, it should be able to happen. And I think destiny is unified. It's not, you know, it's not singular. It's unified, and everybody needs to realize that they have a responsibility. You know, people who making money off the economy, who have, you know, you have a responsibility. Corporations, yes, you're paying taxes, but you have more than that. You have a responsibility to inspire and take care of the people of this country too. Same way, we're not supposed to be and feel like we're supposed to be entitled. But again, we're not looking to get that investment for people of entitlement. We want people who working damn hard for a chance. You know, we want them to get a shot. And I believe that, you know, people need to play their part, especially the people who have the financial ability to create stuff. And shout out the powerful ladies of Trinidad and Tobago who are doing wonderful works. And I think we should create a powerful men or powerful people of Trinidad and Tobago, you know, powerful people who are going to come together and decide, you know, shout out SporTT Manufacturing Association, that come together to promote Trinidad and Tobago. And I think that we need to see more of these investments from corporate, more of these initiatives, because people call Trinidad being a banana republic or whatever you want to say, you know, politics, corruption, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, we the people, together we aspire, together we achieve. We need to take responsibility and start to take action and inspire action, connection, and, you know, cooperation with one another to start to see things happen, you know. So
Yeah. I just think in some cases these corporations might want to see return on investments, because a lot of these companies, you know,
marketing, use it for your marketing. That is priceless marketing. You supporting a girl's story like that, and then just like how you're paying $30,000 for ads to run one day, 30,000 in ads for one day. Imagine you take a story like that and you promote it on Instagram. That same $30,000, you know how far that's going to reach? You could spread that 30 grand to promote that one girl, right? You're in same money you spend on TV, right there, boom. And spread out over 2-3 weeks and reach every single person in this country.
Yeah, like the
and that's
Stag
facts.
ad.
That's facts we're talking
John,
now.
like the ad they have with Stag, where they say not to beat women or whatever, you know. If they took the same money they use on that ad and sponsored this girl, I think they would have done better, because I don't know anybody that was going to beat their wife when they reach home and they see that ad and they thought, you know what, maybe I wouldn't. Thanks, Stag. No, I don't see that happening. So yeah, you're right. If they take some of these marketing dollars that they're using to
but shout out Stag same way for a positive message. But what we're saying is we don't even have to be too creative about representing ourselves.
Use the money to do
stories
something that
are
make a
there.
difference.
These stories are real. These stories are in front of our face. You understand? And who would know these stories best? The coaches. The coaches, as you say, you know, the physios, the people working, you know, intimately with these athletes. You know, and I think that there really needs to be some kind of ramp up there. People need to start to try and put together some kind of production for themselves and look for sponsorship for their story to be told and supported. You know, what do you think about that, Toby?
There's definitely a space for that in the market. You know, once everybody is on the same page, you know, it's not I show up, you take some pictures, where's my cash?
Yeah,
definitely not.
And you go off, you know, and so yeah, there's definitely a need to create a portal, where these companies can see these stories, hear these stories, where people can interact with the athletes.
Does SporTT do anything to link that corporate sponsorship with the athletes?
We have done through the business development unit and the communications unit, the likes of Natasha Nunez, Kyron Serrat, they try to put people in the right rooms together, at least, if nothing else. You know, once we get word of a story, communications will put it on their page and those sort of things. You know, we've done, coming out of the 2012 Olympics, you know, the then communications manager, Mr. Raymond, he would have created an event where the athletes could interact with business people alone. So there was just a mixer for business people and athletes at that time. And I think what was telling for me at that point in time was a lack of preparation of the athletes to have those kind of discussions.
Right.
There's a kind of apprehension of, okay, what am I supposed to do? Or I have a manager for that. Or, you know, my coach will handle this. You know, so I think, you know.
Well, I think this is where we need to learn from, like, America. They have a very successful sporting industry because of how much they invest in their audio visuals, right? And the quality and the sustenance of their quality throughout. To be able to be able to visualize something directly and be able to say, well, yeah, I could put my dollars there. You know what I'm saying?
Once we appreciate that came from the organizations, you know, a lot of people have this concept that, you know, first world sport gets what they want from the government. They get very little.
No, it's all purely industry. It's industry. It's proper business.
Yeah, so I think we just need to find a way to make it mutually beneficial for both the corporations as well as the athletes that we're trying to promote and support.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think about being in SporTT? What do you think about productions around capturing stories like that, like selecting certain athletes that we could do a mini documentary on?
That's a good
idea. You know,
yeah.
Like do a couple athletes in all the different sports, right? And then go to corporate, get a sponsorship, and then that is sponsored for Trinidad to see. Okay, so like this athlete that's making all these leaps and bounds, like you see people training every single morning, athletes, you know, and you don't know what they're going through, and the thing is that, again, their story is really inspirational.
Actually, you know what?
SporTT did a movie some years ago, or funded a movie years ago that was driven by...
What is the name of the movie?
I'm seeing his face, but his name is not clicking to me. Sportscaster. Dumas. Robert. There we are. And the name of the movie escapes me now. But it was very much done around athletes and London 2012.
Okay.
I'll try and get the details and get across to you all
Yeah,
after.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
will
no,
do
this
that.
is the thing, right? That's a movie, right? Now, social media, we need to understand the evolution. We need to change, just like how T tend to change to adapt to the nature of the environment, right? The nature of the business environment now has changed. So, whereas you see, okay, a movie, that's one production, one time, that usually is promoted and hyped at one moment in time and then flutters. Whereas on Instagram, it's every day.
Yeah, it needs
You
something
know,
continuous to keep
and,
them
and,
continuously.
and be able to
Understood.
have that continuous story being told.
I think the hope
Lifetime.
was to have series generated out of it.
Right.
I'm not sure it got the corporate backing that
Right,
everyone involved had hoped for.
Right.
But there's no reason why we should not revisit that, because what Robert's undertaking was in that scenario, he actually went to the athletes in the environment. So he captured the training, he captured the prep. You know, he
Right.
pulled the footage of the actual races, etc. Couple of interviews with persons working with the athletes.
Okay.
You know, and building the entire story.
Maybe we could talk about doing something like that, because we have most of the equipment. You could probably let us know who are some athletes that look like they're extremely promising, and we probably check them out once a month or once every couple months and follow them through the years and watch them progress. You know,
as you
and
say,
get people
pull
interested
footage,
in their
pull
life.
footage, pull thing, do all interview,
Yeah,
pull
real
this,
footage.
boom, slap something together. Because the reality is production. Remember, put social media is on your phone. You could get 4K production. You know, you could have it produced once you have the equipment. We have technology now. We have shipping, Amazon. Everybody have equipment now. You know, so you know, I would be really interested to be able to do something like that. You know, especially for the athletes. Even if it's just for them to see it back, that's going to re-inspire them. You know, but the fact of the matter is, once you capture it audio visually, it's now infinite. It could be a seed planted anyway, you know, forever. And the thing about that too is Trinidad is a real bandwagonist kind of culture. We all know this, okay? People ain't care about the Trinidad national team until they might make World Cup. All right, cool, yeah, backing them hard, strong. They lost one game. Boy, them is real shit.
When last you hear
This
about
man is
Keshawn
real
Walcott?
dog thing. Yeah, when last year, Keshawn Walcott, he boy who's pelt mango. All of a sudden, you know the man full name. All of a sudden, boom. When he not there, it's like, the whole thing is, as you said, we need to have that engagement. We have to engage public to be inspired, to want to realize that, hey, this person is giving their whole life to represent the country, and it's a story that inspires, you know, the wisdom of an athlete going through what they're going through, that we people seeing could apply to our everyday situations and inspire our everyday lives to move forward. You know, as you talk about mobility in one of the architect talks, you know, these things are so important. Imagine an athlete speaking about mobility and it being a trend. So as I say, you know, how we get the bandwagon culture to jump the bandwagon? Well, let me create the bandwagon. Let's create different audio-visual productions spanning different industries. So we spanning and we spreading the seed of inspiration across different you know, sports. You know, so it's hitting a wider populace now, you know. Yeah, that was just one of my. That's just. I mean, what do you think, Toby? Like, in my opinion, I'm a social media. You know, I'm an executive of my own social media company, and I'm seeing not addict. I actually imagine I'm running a social media company, and I'm on social media because the business really is in production. The posting part is you could just pre-bap, set up, and it posts. You know, the issue is in actually producing. You know, as you know, what inspired me to work with Toby was seeing Toby producing himself. You understand? Showing, well, this is what he does. You know, talking about well, this is why I got into this, and this is why this is important. And people need to be edified now. They need to be educated. We need to evolve. All right? Heart disease, diabetes, our health is.
We also need
poor.
to promote the idea that, listen, we have all the inspiration we need right here in Trinidad and Tobago. How many people following Kim Kardashian ass on Instagram and not following our local sportsmen and sportswomen?
How many people going to spend money on a Kylie Jenner lip kit and not spend money to...
that's the thing?
Yeah.
A lip kit, you see?
Bro. Where you been, bro?
That's a lip... That's the thing?
Yeah, it's the thing, bro.
Oh, shit.
Where you
The
been? You
fuck,
gonna
man?
like a whole rock? Kylie Jenner. Yo, Kylie Jenner is like the youngest billionaire horse.
Yeah. Yeah, but what the fuck is a lip kit?
I don't know.
That's a different podcast.
Yeah,
guess.
all right. I guess
I
guess,
can organize people for you to come on and talk about that when you're ready.
You know, but I mean,
shit.
I have the link for that.
Yeah, I'll Google it later. A lip kit, yes.
well,
Uh-huh.
so the thing is that, like, people watch the Kardashians like, oh, look at them, why they're so famous, why they're so, but they are, though. They are famous, dude. Somebody doing something correct there is proper business. They just understand how to
a
capture the
billion people doing
populace.
something wrong by making them famous.
Well, you know,
Well, how about we make a billion people do something correct by making them fit?
Or by making Trinidadians famous. We have 1.5 million people.
the thing is, we have famous Trinidadians.
We have.
We have a lot. It's just that people. So I'll give you an example. If you're into Instagram fitness, you may know of Manco Fit or Masi Arias, depending on how you want to pronounce it, right? So she's in Trinidad right now, and everybody on her page, oh my God, you're in my country, and she's like, well, oh, look at your daughter. She's like, yeah, well, it's my daughter's country too, because while I'm not Trinidadian, her father's Trinidadian.
Right.
All right.
Right? And they both have this fitness page that is followed by a couple 100,000 people well.
Right.
You know, just by, as you say, producing themselves, producing what they do,
Yes.
and now people want to do those things.
Yes.
Yeah,
It-
yeah.
The saying is factual. Trinidadians everywhere. We like salt. You know, the guy who acted in Black Panther.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tobago,
yeah,
from
yeah,
Tobago,
yeah.
talking
Anyway.
about
And, you know, and he went on to act in Us.
Yeah.
You know, so he's
Yeah.
out there. And the examples are numerous. But I think there has to be collaboration. I'll continue to drive that from now to like Kingdom Come. That everybody involved has to come together. We can't sit back and say, well, why the Ministry of Tourism don't proposition one of them to be an ambassador? Okay, we have sporting ambassadors, but do we call on those sporting ambassadors to actually
Be an ambassador.
be an ambassador?
And then
to come
an
and do talks?
ambassador is to put, you see, an ambassador, the purpose of that is to show, you know, relationship between countries and positively so. And that to me is something that, again, should be more audio-visual more than ever. You understand?
You see that connection? I will always
It
tell
can't be.
people.
It can't be a show thing. It can't just be a show thing, a formal thing. It can't
I'll
just
always
be
tell
that.
people Andrew Lewis will continue to get all the sponsorship he gets, not because he's a white boy,
No.
but because he's genuine.
Yeah.
And Andrew Lewis gets on the ground and does what he needs to do for himself.
Right. He's
And
on the
companies can see straight away where their value is. He doesn't have to sell his value,
Right.
right?
They buy in.
I'm
They
a
buy in.
sailor. I was sponsored by Ford, flooding in the country. I jump in my pickup, hook up a dinghy to the back, and I went out and I helped people. Blue Waters is a sponsor. I have loads of water on the boat, and I'm distributing.
Wow.
And I'm not putting on an act. This is me just trying to do a little bit for Trinidad because he is a proud Trinbagonian.
Right.
Right? So you don't have to think about it. Right?
It shows a beautiful connection between corporate. That's a beautiful connection between seeing corporate invest in a national athlete, and naturally the national athlete is giving back. And as an example,
it has to be natural. You use the right term there. It has to be genuine.
it has to be. It has
Yeah,
to be.
so that's why I say part
But
of
it's
it now
amazing
is
that it
our...
happened naturally, and that is what we should inspire. That's why corporate needs to see the value in it, and that's a very good example of seeing the value and seeing the value manifest. You know.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying that some of it right now is actually our responsibility. Our responsibility to be genuine, first of all. For those of us that going out there to be these athletes that want sponsorship, we need to be genuine. And then those of us that supporting people away, we need to support our local as well, you know. I mean, yeah, we have a lot of famous trainees out there, but I saying we have a lot of famous trainees out there, but we have a lot of talented trainees right here that not famous and nobody hearing about. And we should be willing to give them that support. But you're correct. They need to be able to put themselves out there more in a more natural way and in a way that easier to grab your attention, because you know everything fighting for your attention.
Correct. And that's an issue that I always say. If you look at where all our top athletes come from in the country, there are very few city boys and city girls.
Yeah.
All right. So movie town on a Friday, full.
All right.
The stadium empty on a Friday. I love the stadium on a Friday. Right? You could run in peace. You could do whatever in peace. I go and I sit down on that side there, and I will do. if I do my 10-minute meditation any other day of the week,
Yeah.
Friday afternoon across in that corner, watching the sunset across the foreshore side, across the west coast, and I get it done. Because it's just so quiet inside here. You know, when last you see a child climb a mango tree? Or any type of fruit tree?
Jeez, maybe last time we were stealing
Maybe last
Maria
time we
plums.
was, we was, what was the word? That you were, pray dear larceny.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
we
well, I
know
want to
that.
give
We
you,
had
yeah,
a-
very about pray dear larceny. I didn't know what the hell that was.
Children don't know about pretty last these days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
I just
You know,
know
so-
in a mango, but
there's-
they don't do that no more.
There's a lot of those things in it as well.
Yeah, I think because a lot of people in this younger generation, they want the attention and they need to be seen. So they're not going to do something if they're not going to be seen. Like, what's the point climbing a mango tree if I'm not going to take a picture
If I
of me
can't
on the
take a
mango
picture,
tree?
if I can't get a picture,
Yeah,
I'll
right.
take it.
Yeah, but what's the sense? How are you going to get the picture if you don't do it?
You know?
No, but my thing is just climb the mango tree.
Just
Like,
climb
don't
the
worry about
mango
the
tree.
picture.
Or maybe if you saw a picture, climb the blasted tree. And
But that's what I'm saying.
yeah,
You
climb
know,
the
so,
tree, take a picture.
um,
You're living life.
you know, how many people follow Kivo TV on Instagram, but wouldn't go and spend the money to go to a comedy show? It's because of people like Kivo, Jared Bestmischer, and their Instagram. Not because of Major Hype, because of their Instagram. Because I went to comedy shows before they brought Major Hype. Right? But because I said, this guy, he has something, boy, you know, let me go and support.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if we as consumers not putting money in their pocket, why are they going to keep doing it?
Yeah.
You know, why are they going to keep doing it?
Yeah, no matter how much they love it, I mean,
We can't sit back and expect somebody else
They
to
can't
mind the
fund
athletes.
themselves.
If I
Yeah,
do,
yeah,
if the stadium, national championships, right, cannot fill the grandstand alone,
Yes.
right, how do we expect track and field to grow?
Exactly. Yeah.
If we only come in the stadium for a big football match,
Yeah. And
how
then
you want that
again,
money to filter down? Maybe
then
football
again,
is a
as you
bad
said,
example
corporate,
because
yeah.
people have no faith in the administration, but
okay.
that's how it works, right?
Yeah.
So when they open the ground in Mova on the Neil and Massey side, the ground that's
yeah.
the drop down ground,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
You know they got over 3,000 people out to watch a pro league game.
Serious.
It have no fans, so it was free, right? But
yes,
imagine if they did a collection that day of $5 for the team,
Yeah.
and then they had 10 games that season, and they did that for all those 10 games,
Yeah. Simple
Right.
$5.
just in the community. But they brought football to the community.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to leave Mova to see my players. I didn't have to find my way into Port of Spain.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
know.
True.
You know, so there are things that can be done, but we all have to buy in. We all have to buy in. Administrators have to win back the confidence of the public. I
Yeah.
have to be sure that if I pay in $600 to sit down in the cupboard stand to watch my national team, you know, that after you clear your costs, that the majority of that money going right back into that national team.
Yeah. And I think creatives, because Trinidad has a lot of creatives. Creatives need to get involved. I was seeing, I met a boy, did a performance and a speech down in UTT yesterday. And it was an amazing initiative that's going on in UTT where they look at talented individuals needing to be specially educated. You know, education has to be now, you know, because people who are talented, who are gifted, need to be stimulated continuously. And if they're not, and usually they're kind of depressed, undervalued or whatever, it suppresses their talent, but they have a gift to give.
And need to be stimulated correctly as well.
Yeah, but the thing is, we need to monetize the gifts. And I was seeing this boy, if you saw his drawings, amazing pastel drawings. And I'm saying, yo, imagine if that artist, that creative was, you had a production for, like, let's say a national football player, and he's just doing art on this football player. You understand? And you have a creative, because you have so many guys doing videography in the country, doing these production courses and whatnot. If you have a friend in a sport and they're thinking, you know, take it seriously and get to producing that individual. And an athlete cannot be his own agent, an athlete cannot be his own manager, an athlete cannot be his own producer. Everybody has a fit. Every creed and race find an equal place. Everybody have a fit in society. Everybody have a part to play. And from me being a creative, I can say very well that creatives need to see that they have a part to play, to invest their creativity in the athlete, just like how Toby will invest, you know, his ability and passion for the sport in being able to serve the athletes. I think creatives need to see value in doing that, so that they could show corporate, hey, we have something that you're gonna be interested in, you know.
Yeah,
that's an excellent point, and that will bring us back to what you were saying earlier, where even though we lose some of the faith in the administration, at the end of the day, we have to take some responsibility. We can't wait on corporate to come and sponsor the athlete.
We can't
and
wait
then
on the administration. We can't.
to put everything in place so we could just come and watch it for free. No, yeah, you're correct.
Wasting time.
We need
Wasting
to
time.
recognize our talents and collaborate together and start to build it for ourselves.
So I've done quite a few career day talks now.
Yeah.
And the first thing that I walk in and I say, and it frustrates a lot of parents, is that if you want to get involved in sport, study whatever you want to study. And parents gasp and they look at me like, what the hell are you saying? You
Why
are
would you
supposed
say
to be
that?
here to convince my child to study X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And I say this because we can't have stadiums without civil engineers.
Correct.
We can't have playing fields without people who specialize in field maintenance, whether it's a landscape artist with a passion for football, or whether it's somebody who's just really good at maintaining grass. You know, in the Premier League, they give an award for groundsman of the year,
Yeah.
right? How many mismanaged athletes that you've seen over the years? You know, they need accountants, they need managers, they need PR, they need social media specialists.
That's not gonna be con man.
Right?
Facts.
Right? Equipment.
Very, very important.
Right, equipment. The athletes always looking for that edge. When you reach the start line of a 100-meter final for an Olympics, everybody is more or less on par talent-wise. It's whoever has been looking at the little margins, right, the little bit extra, who slept the right amount,
Right.
whose kit fit in just right, who
Yeah.
had their nutrition on point, whatever it is. Then, you know, right there you step into the next gateway, nutrition. Right, the supplement industry is a $1 billion industry.
Yeah.
Right?
$1 billion. They're making pharmaceutical brands are making billions and billions of dollars. And when you look at it, how much do they really spend on marketing? And the thing is, if they do spend on marketing, they're gonna make back because at the end of the day, you want to be supplemented. You want to be healthy. And the more you promote a healthy lifestyle, people will want to be healthy because guess what? We actually need that. It's like money. You know, health is wealth.
Yeah.
Whatever you study, you can find a way
Right.
to work in the sports sphere. It's just you have to be willing to actually see it.
Okay.
Right? I have a friend whose company is trussing, scaffolding, events, etc.
Okay.
You know, and they've done work at football matches, setting up events. You know, so like whatever it is,
Yeah.
if you really passionate about sport, you can find a way to get involved and make a difference.
And get involved in a business, in an enterprising sense. I think
It
that's
will always become an enterprise because once
Yeah.
you show the need,
yeah,
you've now created
a
the
demand.
niche,
Yeah,
a demand.
Yeah, you create a niche. Yeah.
You know, there are doctors who give up their time to come and do medicals for athletes. I challenge people to name a profession, and I'm sure we could find a way for that person to be involved in sport. I met with
Okay.
a
Wow.
guy many years ago, and he was finishing his studies up at the Hospitality Institute, and he wanted to just be a chef for athletes alone. You know, when,
that'll be a
when
big part
England
of
came down
nutrition.
here to play Trinidad, how many years ago now? They walked with their own chef.
Yeah.
You know, and his
Imagine being
responsibility was to prep
having a travel agency. That would be a big part of sports by itself. Yeah.
anything you think of.
Yeah. So how you feel about the podcast so far, Toby? I mean, this is the first ever podcast for Let's Talk About It. You know, we're talking about SporTT. What do you think about this? What we're doing right now, and you know what we could look at potentially, you know, with you know what you do
With
in
future
mind.
collaborations, we
Yeah.
could probably get some
I mean,
other
it's
interesting
it's
people
always
on.
good to, like I said earlier in the discussion, it's always good to have a portal to get the message out there.
Right.
You know, so it's really refreshing to see people taking their time and their energy and their investment
Yeah, man.
Yes.
to put stuff out there. The range of topics, the range of potential collaborations,
It's infinite.
it's really limited by your imagination and your access.
Wow.
Literally.
Yeah, so
Literally,
I realize that one of the problems is that Trinidad is a small country, so we have a pretty limited market. So if you try to break up the market too much, there's only so much you could get, So that's why what I'm trying to do is create sort of a central hub where we could talk about any and everything. All right. So let's say you migrate and you migrate to Canada now. You could just tune in to Let's Talk About It every other week, and it's a different topic you're hearing about. But if you follow us from start to finish, you could come back to Trinidad and feel like you never left. So instead of people having to go all over the place to find out like what going on with Trinis, was the current sentiment based on our local issues. Like, no, just tune into this every couple of weeks. You're gonna hear from real people on the ground, real people, real stories, real ideas. And I like speaking to people of a bit on the older generation, nice with the history, and then people on the younger generation, nice to hear that those progressive ideas, those fresh ideas, because I mean you're still relatively young, comparatively. You still have a lot of fresh ideas. You still heavily involved with the youth and influencing them as well. So it's real nice to hear somebody with your mix of fresh ideas with that mix of experience. Yeah. So it's like a real nice sort of holistic overview of this entire sporting industry.
So people from all over could tune in and hear this one podcast and get a full kind of deep understanding of self-determination as Trinis. People, even Trinis, we have this real nasty concept of Trinidad itself. They kind of package it in a box and be like, well, too much crime or whatever, and they just stereotype, not realizing like we are Trinis, we are like salt, we everywhere, and we have some of the most progressive minds, thoughts, and ideas, and we have people in the country who having those thoughts and ideas, and we need that support. Trinis outside, Trinis inside, to be able to not only see and determine ourselves by seeing, people like Toby, yourself, myself, speak about these issues we're living here, and they know self-determination that okay, this is where Trinidad is at now. All right, cool, this makes sense. Wow, maybe I should show my support here or there or the other, because we actually have more Trinis outside than inside, literally. So I think that even the outside support, we need to really, really try to understand that we have a duty and a responsibility being Trini,
Not just that, but I think with the rise of social media, our attention is so divided around the world. Like, we looking at everybody else, we sort of forgot to look at each other. I remember growing up, Trinidad was this warm place, like everybody was friendly, everybody was a lot more warm-hearted, whereas now there's a lot more of a disconnect, because we have, wherever we sit, we have two screens of glass between us, my phone and your phone, and we're not really talking or engaging with each other. You right there, I have no idea who you are. I'm not going to talk to you because I following people halfway around the world. I talking to people halfway around the world.
And you're not talking to people right there.
Yeah.
But what make a difference with.
And what I want to create is that when somebody tune into this show, should be like coming home, a cool night, you open the door, you get that warm breeze coming from inside, you're smelling that stew chicken bubbling, and just
macaroni pie,
that caroo, and you just feel like a nice warm motherly hug, like I just want this to be like a Trini hug for everybody outside. Once they coming in, they just feeling that warmth and that love and realize the sun. A lot of us love Trinidad, and I want us to show that we love each other still.
We want to see Trinidad rise, like really rise, together, yeah. Like, so many countries take so much serious, as you say, like the people themselves, they take pride in their sport, in their athletes, they come out and support. Trinis love to spend so much money on party, drinking, alcohol, all these things, and then wouldn't say, well, you know what, maybe I should just take some time and go and check out these youths, this school team play.
Come by the stadium on a Friday, but stay away from you if they see you meditating.
So we might float over them or something.
All right. Well, yeah. I guess that's all the time we have. But before we go, Toby, it was Tobias Ottley. Very nice to have you. I appreciate you taking the time to come on our show. I appreciate you trusting us not to
fuck up.
Yeah, not to make you a risky day job.
Yeah, we don't want to risk nobody right now.
But before we leave, anything you want to share, anything going on to you, you can tell us a bit about your company as well. Just get the word out there. We'll have links in the whatever. Wherever we have this posted, we'll have some links once we put it up as well.
Well, first of all, I appreciate the opportunity to be the first guest to share my thoughts, however crazy they may seem.
Nah, man, they're
Yeah.
real street. They're real street. I tell you that.
We all
Your thoughts
crazy
ain't
out there.
crazy,
We all
bro.
crazy out there.
Fuck that, bro.
You know, when I'm not at sport, I'm usually in a gym or on a field. Catch me on The Body Architect, Twitter, Instagram, same handle, The Body Architect, not the. Facebook, same. You know, I try to put as much content out there. You know, I have a general passion for anything that's sports and fitness. I believe that the industry is not as cramped as people make it out to be.
Yeah.
You know, I try to promote other people. I encourage my clients to try other things. You know, so hopefully through Let's Talk About It, you know, people realize that, you know, we could be networking, we could be talking about collaborations, we could be doing things in the future. There's no reason why, you know, people like Rocky and myself can't do something going down the road, etc.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, all of us want the same thing. Health is wealth, you know, and we want Trinidad to be a wealthy place. So,
Ashe.
thanks a lot.
All right,
man.
nice. Okay, well, I guess that's all for today, John.
That's all.
Any
That's
last,
all,
any last
folks.
words?
Any last words in our journal? Well, I must say that we just need to continue progressing. We just need to continue discourse, but not just have conversations, but have, you know, subsequent action after these conversations. You know, to see actual progress, we need to reassess, you know, the actions taken, the progress made, to then make more progress and be more efficient moving forward. That's your journal for the day.
Journal logs, I love it. All right, guys, good having you all here. We'll see our followers, all two of them right now. I think
Yeah,
you
we
are
got
our
like-
only two followers. So we'll see you all next time. All right, bye.
Signing out.